Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to How to Play Cities Skylines. My name is Sports Monkey Forte. I want to get into building my own version of Palm Island and why I decided that this was a good idea. Let's get started. So first and foremost, Palm Island is on the screen in front of you. It is a part of Dubai, and the reason why Dubai decided to, well, it was really somebody that was part of the oil business, decided to expand out into the water was that, they felt like the oil industry in Dubai was going down and they're running out of oil and they needed to create something different. Now, for my How to Play Cities Skylines city, we are stuck in a valley. As you can see right in front of you, we have mountains on all sides. And I didn't feel like a downtown area next to a giant mountain would have been the best idea. So I had this idea of, well, I was actually watching YouTube when I saw the Palm Island. So what I'm doing right now on the screen is I'm setting up my own version of Palm Island. So as you saw, I bought the ocean for $11,600, so AKA I bought a new tile. And what I decided to do after that is we needed to clean up our work site. And what I mean by that is we needed to get rid of all the trees. So the trees will be coming back and we will be filling this in, just as time goes on. This will all be filled in. So all those dead trees, I promise they will be okay. So as you can see here, we have all of our trees. Now what we need to do next is we need to actually build a giant mountain wall. And you're gonna be like, what in the world are you talking about? A giant mountain wall. So when I originally built this the first time, I did not build this mountain wall, and you'll see exactly why the mountain wall is important. So what I'm doing right now is I'm getting a height of one of the mountains and I'm just filling it in. So again, this is a mountain wall. I know it looks ugly. This will disappear later on, but as you can see, it's a decently tall mountain, and it will keep the ocean from absolutely destroying my city. And I mean destroying it. When I did this the first time, like the first hour of my build, essentially my whole city drowned and died. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm leveling out the terrain, and missed a couple trees, but now we have the whole tile filled in. And as you can see, as we render it and speed things up a little bit, you can see that the water was going to absolutely destroy my city. So that wall was absolutely necessary, and whoa, that was a little bit of craziness going on, but let's get back on track. So now that everything pretty much has died out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the palm tree layout. So right in front of you, you can see that the tile is 233 units wide. And so what I'm trying to do now is finding the center spot, because we want to basically use that land. And this is going to be our cookie cutter. I guess we're going to cut the land and our Palm Island out of this tile. And so what I'm doing is right now I'm just laying out everything and trying to get a midpoint and just trying to get everything on track with our 90-degree angles. So the very first thing is, I just want a disclaimer. This is not supposed to look exactly like Palm Island. This is just getting some general, just in general, just getting some ideas off of it and just building my own version of it. So the hardest part of this whole thing was just trying to get the islands and everything intact. And well, it's not an island. I guess it is an island, but it's also a giant peninsula. I don't know. It's just trying to basically get everything intact. And so I'm speeding this up because I don't think you guys wanted this to go in slow motion. But overall, just talking a little bit about the Palm Islands. So essentially, Palm Islands has hotels. It has the most expensive housing. It has the most expensive condos. It has literally everything that you want if you're extremely wealthy. And so the reason why I wanted to build this whole area was eventually we're going to have some high-rise buildings here. We're going to, you can see at the bottom of the screen that we have a lot of green. And what the green is we have a lot of residential demand. So instead of just forcing all of that residential demand in the, just in that small plot of land, I figured that building my own Palm Island was definitely the best way to go. So our Palm Island is just, I'm just spacing everything out. I'm making sure that, we're going at basically a 45-degree angle when we're creating. So these roads and this little, we'll call this the branch. So we're branching out from the stem. The stem is the middle part down the exact center. And what we're doing with the branches is that's where our residential and our high wealthy income housing is going to go. Then on the stem, so the stem is the bottom part that you can see right in front of you. What I'm trying to do layout wise is I'm trying to put, this is where your condos are going to be. So your high rise residential condos, your very expensive commercial buildings and stuff like that. So this part of our build is just building that. So I know as time goes on, we're going to have to fill in with, I might have to add a school. I might have to add different parts. You're going to have to make sure that your city, this Palm Island has your education. It has electric, it has water. Like we're going to have to fill in with general, it's not general maintenance. It's just our general building so that it can survive on its own. So now that we have our basic layout in place, I think everything so far looks good. So what we're doing next is we're actually digging out and we are actually just making sure that, our Palm Island is actually becoming an island. So right now I'm actually putting everything else underground again, but not the roads themselves. So I was just digging out around our roads, and what you'll see eventually is that we will actually start to fill it back in. But for the most part, I wanted this layout to be perfect before we start filling everything in, making sure everything is the right height, and just making sure everything kind of looked okay. And guys, I don't know what, I think, before I start filling this in, I think we're gonna call this symbol the pineapple. Like the palm tree is what Dubai did. I think we're gonna call this the pineapple. What do you guys think in the comment section below? If you guys like this, please let me know. But I think the pineapple might be the best way to explain what we're currently building. So now that we have the pineapple in place and we have our, we have everything filled in. As you can see, I didn't bore you with letting the water go in and fill, I didn't want you guys to wait like 10 seconds or 20 seconds. I don't know. I didn't want to waste your time, but now that everything is filled in, we can actually get rid of the fake mountain wall we created. So now our city is starting to look normal again. I think normal is okay, because having that giant barrier, that mountain barrier, was definitely kind of a little weird. But anyways, so what we're gonna do next is we are going to start the road layout. So the road layout, I decided I wanted a two-way highway. So I kind of took this inspiration from the Palm Island itself. So what they have is they have a 3-lane road connected. It's kind of like a highway, but not really a highway, if that makes sense. So it's essentially what I decided to do. So I took this upon myself. So what I decided to do was I wanted a 3-lane highway going north and south on each side of this part of the island. So as you can see right here, I'm just trying to make sure everything is lined up, because that center gravel road, that is going to be our dead center, and that is where we're actually going to put the monorail. So that's why, and on real Palm Island, they actually have a 3-stop monorail that legitimately, it's 3 stops. It goes from the city itself. It goes onto the stem. We call it the stem, but in this situation, the actual pineapple. Remember, we called it pineapple. So the actual pineapple part itself, then it goes on to the branches itself. So what I decided to do was I wanted a highway that went north and south on both sides. As you can see, we have that going right now, and everything is kind of close to each other. And just to let you know, the other road that we have there, I know it's a little shiny. Wow, that sun is just, the rain is kind of killing me. Anyways, So as you can see in front of you, I finished up the road layout. Essentially what we did with the road layout, it's a giant circuit that can go clockwise around our island or counterclockwise, and you can get to pretty much any part of the island you want. And when I did look at Palm Island, the roads kind of did go like this. There wasn't really highway exits to there wasn't really a highway exit, I guess. Does that make sense? So they just kind of go like this, and they kind of have four-way, and it kind of just keeps traffic flowing. So on the screen in front of you, what I'm doing is I'm adding the monorail down the center of our pineapple, and everything, you know, I haven't built a monorail. If anybody's been watching my videos for a long time, I haven't built a monorail in probably like 2 or 3 series. So the monorail is going to go right down the center, and as you can see, it's going to go right to the stem, or not the stem, but the branches, and then it's going to go out into the city. Now, what's really nice about this monorail is that, well, I guess in real life they do have a monorail. So I found that really cool and a very easy add because, you know, I'm taking inspiration from the actual Palm Island. So I kind of like the idea of the monorail though. Like you want to get people on the island without driving their cars, and definitely using the monorail was definitely one of the best ideas that the city of Dubai could do. So me, as you know, a Cities Skylines person, you know, I thought it was really smart to do that. So we have the monorail station in place, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just upgrade these roads to actual roads. We don't need dirt roads, you know what I mean? It's like we don't need the dirt roads, you know, around our monorail station. So I think everything around the monorail station turned out really well. And what we'll do eventually is we are going to grab some track, and we will definitely be finishing it and getting the monorail line out of the island. So in the real Palm Islands in Dubai, what I'm doing on the screen is actually what Dubai does in real life. So that entrance is very inspiration from the actual Palm Island, and they literally just put the monorail line over the highway connection. So I'm assuming that when they were building this whole thing, that the highway connection was first, and then they're like, oh shoot, a monorail is a good idea, and then they kind of deviated from what they originally were going to do and whatnot. But overall, so this is our layout of the pineapple. Yeah, so remember, we called it the pineapple. So now that we have the pineapple in place, what we need to start to do is the residential buildings need to go around and fill in the middle. Now, if you do look at the Palm Island, the real one, you're going to see a lot of the buildings are actually very, very, very similar. So they use some of the high rises that are the same. It looks like pretty much the same building. So, you know, what I'm going to try to do when I'm adding this residential area, let me upgrade those paths real quick to an actual dirt, or not dirt, but concrete. But, you know, when I add the residential buildings, you're going to see that I use the same building when I'm plopping it down, and that's on purpose. Now this middle part, so like the middle part of this area is still going to be residential, and we are going to add a lot of paths. We want this to be very walkable. We don't want people just be stuck and not to be able to do anything. So make this Palm Island, wow, make this Pineapple Island just very walkable and very, very, very easy to get around. And I really do like the way that this has started to turn out, and it looks honestly fantastic so far. So what we'll do next is in the middle. So remember, I talked about the residential. So what I want to do is I want to actually create a district in the center. Now, the reason behind that is I want some of the nicer, taller buildings that Cities Skylines has to offer that I don't really necessarily have to plop down, and they'll kind of automatically render. And those are the self-sufficient buildings from the Green Cities DLC. So if you don't have the Green Cities DLC, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but later on, you'll see that I actually just plop down some of the buildings, but some of these buildings, not the local organic and produce. God, I sometimes forget like how to actually, I don't use that very often, but you can see that we have tons of different options, and we choose the self-sufficient buildings. A lot of these self-sufficient buildings are absolutely beautiful. So just to let you know that the Green Cities buildings are beautiful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill in 3x3s because we don't want them to be, like, a lot of these buildings are gonna be on top of each other. Now, if you see the actual Palm Island, a lot of these buildings are literally on top of each other. So like this is kind of somewhat realistic by just plopping those buildings down or just hoping that they render. Well, they will render, but you know, just, you get what I'm saying. Like, you know, they're all gonna render very closely together and they're just gonna be on top of each other, and it's exactly what Palm Island is. So our Pineapple Island and Palm Island, you know, we're on to bigger and better things on this island. So right now, you can see that I did have some weird, like, look at that tearing of the entire intersection. What's cool is I just used node controller and hit the plus sign and that fixed everything. Now I do know I have to move that monorail line. I know I have to fix that, but that will happen later on. Don't worry. So we are 15 minutes in. If you're still here, please hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. I want this video to take off. One day one of my videos will take off. Maybe in the next 55 years. I don't know. Besides a YouTube short, I would really like a video just to take off. But anyways, so as you can see, what we're doing is we're adding more roads, some more connections to our highway. And what we're going to do is we are going to fill this also with more commercial and entertainment buildings. Don't forget this. You do need your general buildings, you know, to function. So we need our fire department. We need our electric, we need our police, and we need our hospitals. We need pretty much everything. This is going to be its own little city itself. So, you know, just, yeah, essentially we need death care, we need health care, we need police, we need fire. So far, everything is perfectly in place, and I had to hit that pause button because we almost had 2 buildings render when none of this was ready to go. So for part 2, we are creating another district, and that is going to go on the outer part of our Pineapple. And it is called Empire Heights, which that name actually works out really well because we are going to have some very big buildings very close to each other, and it's going to hopefully turn out really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some tourism buildings because, again, remember, Dubai Palm Island, they have tons and tons and tons of entertainment buildings. So the whole point of that island was to bring people to Dubai if the oil ever runs out. So we're going to have a lot of tourism buildings, and I am going to actually place down some of the real tourism buildings, as you can see. So right now we're speeding things up a little bit. You can see that I'm just adding the 4x4s or different size commercial buildings. And again, they're going to render like this, but as time goes on, like you can see that zoning just did not work out. And also another thing I did want to add was IT clusters. Now, the problem is my city, if you look, we have only 17,000 people. So the IT clusters, I'm not sure how well they'll work, but the buildings themselves are absolutely beautiful. So what we're going to have that fill in. So here's the part of the build that I kind of mentioned. So some of the zoning, it just didn't look right. Like if you could see on the screen in front of you, some of those roads, like I tried to upgrade the road and the zoning just did not work. So what I decided to do was I decided to plop. So see, here's some of the self-sufficient buildings that I was talking about, and they're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful buildings. So if you play on console, buy the Green Cities DLC, and oh my God, what the hell happened? I have no idea why that was 62 feet in the air. But anyways, buy the Green Cities DLC because you will absolutely love some of these buildings. And they look absolutely amazing. They work fantastic. Obviously, well, you don't have the Move It mod, but they work fantastic, and you know, just overall look really, really nice, and they go into your city really, really well. So as you can see here, I'm just kind of plopping down some more residential because, well, the zoning, it just didn't really, like that whole corner, it just did not work out really well. So right now, adding more paths. By the way, paths are essential for anything like this or a downtown area. Yeah, I would 100% suggest paths because we need people to walk, all right? And we're gonna bring in more transportation options as time goes on, and you'll see that, you know, a lot of people eventually do start walking around our city, and it works out pretty amazing. You know, just something to keep in mind. So again, we're plopping down buildings, and the reason why I used the same building was Palm Island did the same thing. They have a lot of the same building that, you know, they just plop them together and they called it Palm Island, essentially. So overall, we're getting to the very end of this build before we let everything fill in. So what I decided to do was I decided to add a few different parks because, well, again, this is a high density part of our city and people are going to need places to go. And I don't really, you can see right there, I am adding tons of paths, but you can see I really don't have any spaces for putting a park somewhere inside the actual, you know, like the actual pineapple part. So what I decided to do was right now I'm adding real buildings. I'm adding some specialized buildings, and we needed entertainment, guys. So essentially, you know, some of these buildings were needed for just to bring people to this entertainment district. You know what I mean? So now that we have everything pretty much in place, what I'm doing next is I'm connecting up our highway, and I'm just making sure everything is connected so we can actually press the play button. Our scenario, I believe, I'm just guessing, has been paused for quite some time. So, you know, so now that we have the highway connection, we're gonna fix that as time goes on. I just wanted it connected. I wanted things to start to render and start to build up. Now, guys, on the screen, did you guys see that? So let me hit that pause button real quick. So I wanted to add a metro monorail train station, and it kind of worked a little weird. It was a little funky, but what I'm doing now is I'm just connecting the monorail up so that we can have monorail lines. So what I did was I just followed the train line and then I got it to the highway. I will fix this later on. I know it looks kind of wonky, which, ugh, it honestly looks horrifyingly terrible. But for the time being, we are just gonna connect everything up. And again, we just want it to get going and just so we can start to actually have everything render up and start to build. So now that we have, wow, I don't know why that white, like I'm trying to put down a monorail station or a metro station. I don't know why it was acting that weird, but very odd. Anyway, so we added a metro station. We have a monorail. We have everything kind of just rendering and growing, and we have electricity and water. So now, guys, here is the final edition. Now, obviously, this is just phase one, but here's our lovely ride into our Pineapple Island, and everything so far looks amazing. Like, it looks good. Like, here are all of our high rises. Everything looks very similar. You can see we have a lot of people using our transportation. Like, there's our mini transportation hub next to our metro line and our monorail line, and there's our highway. So everything has turned out really well. Now the test will be honestly when we create the high density residential on the pineapple branches themselves. But overall, this turned out amazing. What do you guys think? I truly think this was one of my best creations, and I know it's not the perfect Palm Island that you see in Dubai, but I'm very happy with the way this turned out so far. Like, once this residential over here fills in and we extend our monorail line and we extend out to a few other, you know, do a few other things like casinos and stuff like that, I think this is gonna fill in and just look absolutely perfect. So thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are some of the fantastic fans of Cities Skylines if you're all the way out to if you're all the way out here and still listening. So I greatly appreciate it. Hit that like button. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day.